I have to say, in full disclosure, also I'm a product of the SBDC, but I was at that 35-year, the first year maybe it started. I was a business advisor, so I am a product of the SBDC. Are you a product of the SBDC? No?
I'm a part of it.
Okay.
I'm part of it.
Did you want to expand on TMAC?
Thank you so much, Angela. Yeah, just a little bit more information on TMAC. We're part of a nationwide network called MEP, Manufacturing Extension Partnership, which is under the Department of Commerce. And also, under the Department of Commerce, our funding comes from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, in which they have different R&D entities and other teams working on different areas of technology like AI, robotics, and areas like that. In Texas, we're part of a Texas-wide network. So TMAC South Texas, hosted at UT-RGB, is one of 7 centers in the state. So we also have a presence in a TMAC center at the University of Texas El Paso, Texas Tech, UT Arlington, more recently the Lamar Institute of Technology, the LIT, University of Houston, the Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, and of course we cover the South Texas region at UT-RGB, going from the Laredo area to the Upper Valley, Brownsville, and also Corpus Christi. A little bit more about the services that we provide. Well, number one is we're aligning all of our programs at UT-RGB to know, which would be the best center to help the small business, depending on where in the cycle they are. Because some of these businesses are at the very introduction level, doing some market analysis, trying to get a site, trying to get, the resources, opening the LLC, whatever the case is, right? And then when the business starts growing and wanting to scale up, that's where TMAC comes in to help businesses gain capacity, do cost reduction, identify the opportunities for hiring the right personnel, getting the right certification. Just as an example, we currently had a project with a medical device manufacturer, just to give you, and that started actually at the incubator with the ECC, which is a great resource. I think that was also part of the previous panel. So they started with the market analysis there. They won the Startup Texas competition. So they came up with this innovative solution for, it's not a hospital bed, but it's a caretaking device that can be used in nursing homes or even for domestic use as well. And they got to the point where they got the actual prototype ready. But the next step is, okay, how are we going to scale up manufacturing and how we can get this to the market? So one of the things that they need to do, we're working on it with them, is to get their safe and safety regulation, the UL regulations for the manufacturing of the device, right? You can't manufacture if you don't have those lab tests done beforehand, right? So that's how we started, and that's a good example on how the pipeline of resources that we have at UT-RGB, work together, where they start, from the very beginning, getting the contacts, either if it's a sub-landing or getting the contacts here in the valley, getting a business plan, from SBDC, and of course counseling. If it's a contract with the Department of Defense, or government contract with Apex, and then we come in as the center to help with the technical assistance, right? Either in some cases we provide them connections with robotics companies, whatever the case is. So that's a little bit more of the resource that we have.
Okay, so we're ready to go. David already said it all. Let's go, everybody. No. Maria, do you have anything you want to expand on for SBDC?
Yes, thank you. So the SBDC provides services at any stage of development. So if you're exploring starting up a business 10 years from now, and you're just thinking what the resources are there, and I kid 10 years from now, but maybe next year, you're close to retirement, you're thinking, we call that the pre-venture, so that's the first stage. Or if you are thinking of starting a business and don't know what resources are available, thank you for being here and allowing us to share this information with you. But you're also welcome to come into our center and just let us know what you need. Like I said, if you are exploring, if you already know what you want to do, but you're looking for financing, for example, it was mentioned the business plan. We help with startup and growth planning assistance. And if you've been 10 years in business, but you're stuck and don't know where to go next or how to grow, we can sit down with you in a one-to-one confidential at no cost session and explore different options that may end up with finding the way to grow your business from the inside or looking for external resources of financing. So at any stage, once you join our program or any of our programs, you're part of us, and you can come. We have clients that come after 20 years. They want to start another business or they want to grow. They want to expand. At any stage of their life, you're welcome to come to our assistance. So what we do specifically is three main things. We do advising, which goes into the planning for growth and for startup. We provide research assistance, and we provide training. So about 30% of what we do is training. We offer 150 or so plus trainings that are 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in different topics, and the majority, about 70%, are virtual after pandemic. Most people were tired. We found that people were tired. They were what we call zoomed out, right? Nobody wanted to go on Zoom. But then slowly people found that it was like, if it wasn't something you had to do, you had a choice to do it. So instead of traveling an hour or two to find the nearest center or the nearest location to go to training, most people go on Zoom. Or WebEx or whatever program is out there. So we happen to have about 150 sessions that we provide. About 30% are on site, so we do offer them throughout the Valley with our Valley Resource Partners, which are the EDCs, the Chambers of Commerce. Sometimes with banks, we offer different trainings in any type of topic. So if you are interested in a topic, chances are we provide it. In addition, because we're part of the Texas Southwest SBDC network, you have access to over probably 100 trainings in any month. Some of it repeat. I will confess. Some of it repeat because we always want to provide relevant information when you need it. And then sometimes there are trainings that are offered once a quarter, once a year. Events like this ones we come to once a year as well to share our resources. And so whatever you need, the important number that you have to remember, just plug here, 956-665-7535. That's our SBDC number. If you reach that number and you forget everything that we talked about here, you call that number, you tell us what you need, and we can connect you with the Apex, with our VBOC, with our ECC, with our TMAC, with our research center, and even with other centers across the university. The university has a wealth of information, but we'll get into when we talk about the underutilized resources, and then we'll share a little bit more about those. Thank you.
Very good. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to present a scenario, right, of a small business. And then from that scenario, each one of these individuals is going to talk about their part in helping this small business owner grow. Okay, so the name of the scenario is From Kitchen Table to Production Floor, the Growth of Maria's Salsa Company. You like that? Okay. Because we can all see that. We all know, we can feel it. I know the gentleman in the back that's making sugarless pastries, he probably understands this. But so Maria, she never intended to become a small business owner. Her homemade salsa recipe, passed down through generations, how many identify with this? Yeah. Was something she made for family cookouts and holiday gifts. However, when a friend convinced her to sell a few jars at a local farmer's market, by the way, this is Farmer's Market Week, she sold out in 2 hours, okay? And that was 5 years ago. So back then, Maria was making small batches in her home kitchen. She was labeling the jars by hand and handled every aspect of the business herself, including production, marketing, sales, and deliveries. But as the demand grew, beyond what she could manage, so did the challenges. She was turning away wholesale orders. Her refrigerator was full of ingredients, and she hadn't taken a day off in months. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Okay. So Maria realized it was time to grow. So she was recognizing the signs. So she began to keep track of her sales and discovered that her revenues had increased by 35% year over year for the last, say 3 years. And she had a small wait list of small grocers and restaurants that wanted her product. So she didn't know where to begin. So I'm going to push this out to Maria, because Maria the SBDC would probably be the first place she would go. Because if we're wanting to grow, sometimes we need what? Money, right? So Maria, tell us how the SBDC can help Maria grow.
Full disclosure, the Maria that Angela is referring to is not me. It's mi tocaya. So just in case, I mentioned earlier, we keep everything confidential. We're not going to take your information and share it with anybody. I'm not going to go run off and start my own business based on your information. So I just want to clear that right away. But I think, Angela, your name is Maria too? Is that what you came with?
We can call her whatever. What do you call her? We can call her Angela.
Yes, and so thank you for that. So so the first step, so where do I start? So yes, we have, one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs have, especially in underserved communities, is access to capital. But before we get to the access to capital, we would sit down with Maria and discover the path, and Angela has explained where she is now. And so she has got beyond the startup phase, which is the testing the market. And sometimes we recommend that people that have products like that test the market by going to farmers markets, selling to families, because sometimes it's not enough to know how to cook something very well, and for people to tell you, people that love you, that tell you this is the greatest food, right? But when you start to go out there and other people start to buy it, then you're testing the market and you begin to have food. And then the great part of it is the sales increase year after year for the past 2 years, right? So at that point, they're ready to start to begin to look at beginning more formally and possibly, so we would begin by asking questions about the market, right? So the previous panel focused in on one very important question. Who is your market? So we call that the target market. So there could be 10 different groups of people or types of people that would buy it by age, with demographics, by age, by background, professionals, non-professionals, etc. But you have to hone in on who is it specifically that would buy the product. Not that would be the only group you would sell to, because if anybody wants to buy it, you want to sell it to. But there's something that we say in marketing is like, not all people are your customers. So you have to find that group that is going to want the product and be willing to pay what you want to charge for it, and then go from there. And then begin the whole marketing plan, and then we can help you develop the plan for growth for the future. The other thing you can determine if you want to sell individually, continue on the farmer's market path. You can go and sell it to junior supermarket. You can go to, I won't name the other, the red logo company. Yeah, you can pitch to them and become part of the vendors. But then you have to start prepare, and that's when you go a little bit into TMAC, where they can sit down and try to determine the cost of goods, because now you're going to be selling more, but you're going to have to figure out if the product has to be changed a little bit, modified to reduce the cost. Other costs of production go in there, so it's no longer just you labeling. It's investing in printers, investing in equipment, packaging equipment, cold packer, etc. So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and we can help you at the initial stages, and then to develop on the growth. But at some point, you're going to need some other access to other services, and that's where I think, and then of course, you have to determine, we can help you determine how much funds you're going to need, If you're going to continue, well, you can only continue so long under the on creating the product itself. For example, if you're allowed to do that under the cottage law, but then after a while you have to look at a commercial kitchen, or you have to go and open a natural storefront where you would cook the salsa, in this case, the food that you would manufacture to sell. And then we can determine like the total project cost. We go into a lot of details, but I'll stop there. Suffice it to say that we can help you determine and find out who would you go to borrow funds, and also how much you would need to invest for the borrower to be willing to lend you the funds to get started, and then of course to grow. If you happen to be already an existing business, and 2-3 years down the road, you find yourself, you've already had additional sales, etc., then we can talk about growth planning, and there might be a need for additional funds to come into play from the financing world, or we can help you review the financial statements that you have to determine if there's a way to cut costs and of course increase profits so that you can then reinvest.